So welcome everybody to the Jarvis Talk Show. I'm sorry I haven't uploaded. The Montreal Canadiens have just been crazy, and also the league in general. Oh my God. Taylor Hall to Buffalo. I can't believe I'm saying that. Uh, we got Tyler Toffole on a 4-year, $4.25 million AAV contract. Jake Allen was extended, 2-year, $2.78 million AAV contract. And the big fish, I'd call him a shark. He's the heart and soul of our team. It's not Montreal without him. Brendan Gallagher signs a 6-year extension worth of $39 million. So 6.5 AAV, and I'm going to break it all down for you right now. So, Allen, this is good. In any way you put it. Because with the Seattle expansion draft coming up at the end of next season, they could take him. But they're only allowed to take players who are on contracts. So they're not allowed to take free agents. So this is good. We got Caden Primo in the wings. He's going to be an excellent goalie. I've always said I think he has an elite future. I personally believe he's the next Carey Price for our organization. Montreal tends to know how to develop goalies, and Caden Primo is no exception to the rule. Another couple of years and he'll be ready. Which is why I think the Allen signing is brilliant. Because, A, he goes to Seattle, and that takes care of that. And now you'll have Primo and Price as your goalies in the future. But if that doesn't happen, then you have Price and Allen even better going forward. And then you can let Caden Primo develop even more into the player that you know he can be. And yeah, that's everything you'd ever ask. And if it comes to the point where Primo's ready, but you still got Allen, that is a very tradable contract. So this year, we're nearly spending $15 million between the pipes. It'll be 12 for the next 2 if Allen does not get taken. And even less, I suppose, if he does. But I'm hoping they won't take Jake Allen. They probably will because, I get this feeling, Vegas came into the league. Montreal, the season before that they were good. They weren't Stanley Cup contenders, but they were good. They were in the playoffs that year, and here comes Vegas, and more shit. They only took one player from us, but that one player sent the whole. It was like a chain. So Alexei Emelin, who has vanished into the unknown regions of the hockey world, was top 4 for us when Vegas came along and they took him. But then, of course, Montreal made more moves at the time for stuff they thought that made sense. Didn't work out. Montreal became terrible for a while. And that was the last time I felt the Canadians had a relatively good team. Obviously, 2014 was awesome, conference finals. Uh, good in 2013 as well. Shit in 2012. They were good in 2011, but ran into that Boston team. In 2010, really good again. Jaroslav Halak mostly. But just ran into the Philadelphia Flyers. But the team I see in Montreal right now, if the season were to start today, forget about the cap for a second. If the season were to start today with this roster, this team is a playoff team. I don't care what any Leaf fan says. I don't care about any other fan except the Habs fan. And if there's Habs fans saying they won't make the playoffs, you're convincing yourself they won't make the playoffs. This team's a good team. On paper, this is a world-class team. I really do like our team. Our defense is great. We may have the best tandem in the league. And our offense, we're good there. You know, we're not going to be the best offensive team in the world, but we'll be able to score. Enough, anyway. Our defense and goaltending will be great for us in the playoffs. Now, anyone saying they won't make the playoffs, listen to me when I say this. They're going to make the playoffs. This team's too good not to make the playoffs. Last year's team, sure. But the team they got right now, with the signing of Toffole, the extension of Allen, the extension of Gallagher. Now, they still got to give Phil Danault a contract, and they also got to give Tatar a contract. Lehkonen and Kakimi are RFA, so they still have some time. But, so right now, I'm going to break down the Habs for you. So you got, care what anybody says with the emergence of Kakimi and Suzuki. It's not the 1-2 punch, not yet. Phil Danault, Brendan Gallagher, Thomas Tatar. That's your top line. It is the best two-way line in hockey. It's one of the best lines in hockey, period. Don't care what anyone says. Line 2. Duran, Suzuki, and for all intents and purposes, I'm going to say Josh Anderson. Of course, him and Toffole can flip if need be. Which leads me to the third line of Paul Byron, Jesperi Kotkaniemi, and Tyler Toffole. So, I like our top three lines. They're all lines that can put the puck in the back of the net, no problem. And I think they will. I think you're afraid of the Danault line because that's been Montreal's line for a good 2 to 3 years now. That's kind of been the line to carry things. But now you got Suzuki, Duran, and Anderson, and all of a sudden, that's a capable line. And you're like, okay. And then the third line with Kotkaniemi, Byron, and Toffole certainly has potential. Speed. And I mean, Toffole's a sniper, so that'll be perfect for Kotkaniemi. Now, I know Kotkaniemi was starting to shoot the puck a little more in the playoffs, but he's still a guy who likes to pass first, much like Suzuki and Duran, and mostly everyone on the team, except for Josh Anderson and Tyler Toffole and Brendan Gallagher, because Gallagher shoots a lot. Yeah, Montreal. Whew. That's a pretty good top 9. And then you got, I'm going to say Ryan Poehling will be the center. Not at the start, Jake Evans will start the season as our center, but I think eventually Ryan Paling will overpower him and take this fourth line center position, and he'll be flanked with Lehkonen and Armia. I definitely think if there is one person that won't be re-signed by the Montreal Canadiens by the end of the next season, it's UL Armia. I love him, great player, but something telling me that he's coming close to the end of the line with the Montreal Canadiens. Hope not, but that's just the kind of consensus I get. And yeah. Now moving on to our defense. So the top pairing is not going to change. Weber, Sherratt. What you get with them is they're big, strong, physical. They're good in their own end. Good first pass. Both can really let the puck rip. And they'll put up 10 goals, 30 points. That's what you get with Sherratt. With Webbs, you'll get anywhere from 10 to 20, maybe even more, and 30 to 40 points. Very good first pairing. Sherratt complements Weber well, and they complemented the Nolan extremely well. They did last year. I expect the same thing this year. Now we move on to our second defensive pair, at least to start the season. So Jeff Petrie, he's just like Weber, he's a lock at where he's at. In another season or two, he might be able to overthrow Weber, but that time has not come just yet. So he's the lock on the right side on the second pairing. But this is where the overthrowing could truly happen. So Joel Edmondson will start. Joel Edmondson will start in the top four. He'll play with Petrie. So Edmondson will play the left side second pair to start. Now, I think I'm throwing a curveball. Victor Mete is going to play the right this year. I would say Kulak, but I really don't think Kulak's going to be with us to start the season. I think he's getting traded to who, I don't know. But I would be surprised at the very least if Brett Kulak is still with us. And to join him, Alexander Romanov. Yeah, I could definitely see it that he will start on the third pairing. And I think as the season progresses, I think he will overthrow Joel Edmondson. Eventually. Don't expect this within the first 10 games, maybe not even the first 20. Joel Edmondson, for what people say, I mean, he's not Ben Sherratt, but he's still pretty okay, you know. He's your shutdown type of guy. He's the type of guy you'd want to put with Jeff Petrie, so that Jeff Petrie can join the rush and be as effective as he possibly can. But you don't want all your defense to be the same either. So your top four, you got one guy that likes to go to the rush and one guy that stays back. So Webbs likes to join, Sherratt stays back. You got Petrie likes to join, Edmondson stays back. But that's where the joke ends. Because both Alexander Romanov and Victor Mete like to lead the rush. Which is good. It's different. Other teams won't catch on to what you're doing. But if one gets caught and the other is trying to be a part of the offense as well, you're vulnerable to the counter attack. Which leads us to the goalies and why those defensemen may be able to get away with not with getting caught every once in a while, is what I'm trying to say. So Carey Price is the starter. He has been for the better part of a decade. Really, the last time he wasn't was 2010. So good 10 years of being a starter. And that was 1 year, and he was starter 2 years before that as well. So is what it is. And the backup, he's pretty good too. Jake Allen, who played 24 games with 23 or 24 games with St. Louis last year, and he's pretty good in the playoffs too. So Jake was 12, 6, and 3, I believe, with 2 shutouts and a .927 save percentage. So some pretty good numbers for backup. He's backing up Jordan Binnington. And St. Louis made the playoffs, along with a lot of other teams this year. But St. Louis, they were going to make it anyway. So COVID-19 had nothing to do with St. Louis making the playoffs. St. Louis was going to make the playoffs anyway. And that's just that. Now that the Habs, I've broken down the Habs, I want to break down the Brendan Gallagher contract. So this year was a bad year for both Montreal and Brendan Gallagher. So Gallagher only ended up playing close to 60 games. He didn't play the full 71. He was hurt for a couple. But he still managed to put up 22 goals. And that was tied for the team lead with Thomas Tatar, who played a few more games than Brendan Gallagher. So, it would. That's a bad year for Brendan. Good year, and he's pushing 40. His career high is 33 goals. He's not much of an assist guy because he doesn't really pass the puck a whole lot, but we got enough of people that do that. So they inked him for 6 years at $6.5 million per season. Brilliant signing for both him and the Montreal Canadiens. Awesome. Next, we got the Tyler Toffole signing. He signed 4 years, so he's the same age as Gallagher, so he'll be 32 when contract expires, at $4.25. Good stuff. Now we're moving on to Jake Allen, who signed 2 years at $2.78 per year. They're all really good signings. The only signing that I can't even say I don't like it. It's more or less the player one. I think Josh Anderson's going to be an amazing player for us. I really do. We signed him for 7 years at 5.5. See, a lot of people, I don't have a problem with term because he's so young. 26, so he'll be fine. He'll be 33 at contract's end, or 34, because he has an extra year, because he wasn't a UFA. This is fine. We'll get him for all of his prime. This is fine. I would have liked I was thinking of somewhere in between 4.7 and 5.2. So for me, it was a little bit of an overpayment. I knew what he could provide. Unlike a lot of people, I didn't pay much attention to 26 games he played this year. I didn't pay attention to it because it's irrelevant. He was injured. A significant injury when he did play as well. So I didn't pay much attention to it. I looked at his other years. And his other years say he's anywhere from 20 to 30 goals. Bad or good season. So this guy, if he stays healthy, we got a good one. Mark Bergevin, if this does not work, is gone. This gotta work. Now, I feel that Josh Anderson could do what Andrew Shaw did. And, he's not going to drive a line. Josh Anderson's not going to drive a line. But playing with Suzuki and Drouin, he doesn't have to. He's just got to be physical. Not be afraid to bump people up the pucks. But he's got to be what he is. He's got to be big. And, and he can score goals. He's got a good shot. So I really don't see that big of a fuss over it. But it is what it is. And the Danault line, they're not that big. So Anderson will add size to our second line. Toffole adds a bit of... Well, our third line is quite considerably big. You got Kakiniemi, who pushes 6'3". Then you got Toffole at 6'1". And Byron's like 5'7" or 5'8". But, I don't think having all 6'2", 6'3" monsters as forwards is a good idea. I don't. People say more size, more size, more size. And I'm like, yeah, you want more size, but you don't want to get too big either. You still want to have those guys who can skate and make plays and stuff. For example, in Toronto, Mitch Marner. Marner's not big, but he's very skillful. You got Matthews, who's big, and Nylander's, 6'1"? Matthews, I think, is around 6'3". But you got those small players who mix in with your bigger players. And that's what makes a good hockey team offensively. So I like where we're headed. I think Montreal's future is bright. Their current roster is awesome. And they may not get everyone re-signed, but they'll get most of them. And I think the Canadians, they're looking good. Thank you for joining me. This has been the Jarvis Talk Show. See ya.